everybody, welcome back to Right After Radio. We're going to do the unit grades for SC's 48-0 win over Utah State. No other place better to start than at quarterback. Alicia, what do you got for Miller Moss?
Yeah, at quarterback, I'm giving Miller Moss an A minus, actually. I think he had a very efficient game. I think he tried to go long several times, maybe a little bit underthrown at times. He did throw an interception that was called back because of a penalty. He knew he had a free play there, so I'm not going to grade him too harshly on that. All around, I think it was a very solid day. I liked what he did navigating their blitzes. I liked what he did navigating the pocket and just looking cool, calm, and collected the whole time. And then also it was just really fun to see a cameo from Jaden Maiava.
I didn't think about adding Jaden Maiava in there. I'm going B plus. I think I might have done A minus if I would have remembered to include Jaden Maiava in there. That's messed up. I think with Miller Moss, I think that he did everything he was supposed to do, didn't make any big mistakes. I think there were a couple passes that he wants back that were a little bit too high to Deuce Robinson. He's going to get better with that. And I think the best thing is he didn't have a perfect game against Utah State. That's okay. This is the perfect time to not have a perfect game when everybody else in the team is, spoiler alert, playing pretty well. And we're going to get to those, starting with the running backs. Alicia, what do you got with the running back?
Yeah, I'm giving the running backs an A. I thought they were excellent. Woody Marks and Quentin Joyner feel already like a well-made duo together for USC. Woody Marks clearly leading the way there, but Quentin Joyner, no drop-off when Quentin Joyner comes in the game, and that is very, very nice to have if you're USC's offense. Love Woody Marks as a receiving option. Love Quentin Joyner's patience, both of their patience. Couldn't ask for more. I think they deserve the touchdowns they got.
Yeah, we talked about it in the CarCast, in the Fallout episode. I love what Quentin Joyner was able to do. Woody Marks was great, 103 yards in the first half, 249 rushing yards for the Trojans, all told their most since 2018. I think you gotta give the running backs an A+. The only thing I can knock them for is they didn't have like a 70-yard touchdown run. But that is the nitpick of all nitpicks. The running game was great, and I thought Quentin Joyner especially looked really, really, really good. Let's go to the wide receivers. Alicia, what do you got?
I'm going with a B here. It's not that the wide receivers had a bad day. It's just it didn't feel like they had a great day. There were two surefire touchdowns that were dropped, which is definitely going to knock your score down for me. And then there were, maybe Mekhi Lemon could have held on to one of those long balls that Miller Moss tried. There were just a couple moments where it felt like a little bit more from the wide receivers and they would have had a really, really stellar day. Not a bad day by any means, but we will see better from them.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with flat B. Those two touchdowns that were dropped can't happen. Zachariah Branch has got to catch the one that's a little screen swing pass. And Jacoby Lane has got to come down with the one that is perfect in the little curl route right there at the goal line. So SC's got to fix those things. Again, just like what I talked about with Miller Moss, the passing game was not perfect. That's fine. It was Utah State. SC still scored 48 points. Move on. SC's going to get better and have a better showings from the receivers. Let's go to the tight ends. At least I don't think you got to say much here.
My favorite, A+ for the tight ends. It is tight end season out there, guys, and they're making me drool. And not just in the passing game, because Blake McCree has been Miller Moss's favorite target so far this year, and I love that for him.
Yeah.
But what I was really impressed by the tight ends in this game, how they were blocking. Everything that went right for USC in this game was created by the tight ends blocking who they needed to block, pancaking dudes, hitting dudes, looking like they really enjoy the art of blocking. You couldn't ask for more. Awesome performance.
Yeah, I am going to echo it slightly with an A, just A flat. It probably could have been an A+, but
Lake McCree did fumble.
Lake McCree's fumble, I think, was something that SC would want back. That was 7 points. And, SC scored 48 points on offense. It could have been more. There were multiple drops with the receivers, and there was the fumble from Lake McCree. And I think that was sort of the limiting factor on the offense. But all told, fantastic day from the tight ends. We talked about it in our podcast after the game. Like, that RPO tight end seam route thing, is a thing of beauty, and you want to see more of that as the season goes on. Let's go to the offensive line. What do you got?
I'm going A with the offensive line. I thought they did a really good job. I sort of flirted with a B plus versus an A minus kind of situation, but I'm just going to give them the flat A because I felt like the running game, when you clear the way for 200 yards of rushing, I'm going to give you that. When you generally keep Miller Moss's jersey clean, I'm going to give you that. Yeah. You could knock them for this being a lesser opponent and one that they should have dominated, but they can only play the guys that are in front of them, and I thought they did that very well.
Yeah, I agree. I will go with an A with the offensive line there. No demerits. Nothing bad to say about the offensive line. They did their job against a lesser opponent. Utah State's defensive line, not great, and SC held them in check and created big holes for the running game, which is exactly what you want, like you said. Let's go to the coaching on offense. Lincoln Riley as an offensive coordinator. What are you doing?
I'm giving him the A. There are demerits, like you talked about, that you could certainly nitpick.
Sure.
But what I really enjoyed about this offensive performance was coming out and just hitting the run right away, saying we're just going to run the ball and establish that and get that as part of our identity in a game where we have that open to us. Mm-hmm. I love that he went out there and stuck with that for a while. And I really loved the way that the second and third teams were prepared in this game. We have seen USC dominate teams in the first half and then come out and clear the benches, and then the offense just closes up and shrivels up and does nothing in the second half. But that's not what happened with USC's backups. I'm going to give credit to the offensive coordinator for the way that he managed the entire game. I thought it was a good victory.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I'm going to go with A minus. Strictly because I think this was a game where SC went a little vanilla. And I think that's a good decision. I'm not saying that it was a bad thing by any means, but I think there were absolutely times where I think the passing game could have been a little more forward and proactive. They weren't. They didn't need to be. Didn't need to be, special in this game. And we talked about it in the podcast. Like maybe that's a way to set things up going forward when SC opens up the Big Ten schedule in 2 weeks in Ann Arbor. We will see. Let's go to the defense. Start on the defensive line. What do you got?
I'm giving him an A. There's a lot of A's to give out. It was a good win. I cannot speak highly enough of Gavin Meyer and of Nate Clifton as the main tackles in there. The second line guys that we saw did a really good job, Kobe Pepe and Bear Alexander, and even the third line guys that we saw, Jide Abasari had a couple moments that I really liked. And then the edges, Anthony Lucas, the stat sheet does not show how effective he was in this game. Mm-hmm. You got to give him his flowers, because even though he didn't get a sack, barely had any tackles, he was critical to USC rushing Bryson Barnes. Somehow statistically he didn't even get any QB hurries, but I watched the damn game twice. He had QB hurries, so I'm giving the defensive line as a whole an A.
Yeah, I think you nailed it spot on. I think I also go with an A, and I think that the interesting thing about Anthony Lucas is that there are a couple the first play of the game, right? Like he sort of is caught on the back foot, but I think one of the things that this defensive line did great was sort of learn from their mistakes. First two plays, not great, and then they didn't give up anything until the third stringers came in at the very end of the game. So that's exactly what you want to see. SC is faltered against lesser opponents all the time up front, and that did not happen in this game. They really pushed Utah State around. Let's go to linebackers. What do you got?
I'm giving it an A+ because it is just a joy to watch Eric Gentry play football. They were playing without one of their key players, Mason Cobb, and you didn't even feel like USC was down a man in that spot. And I credit Eric Gentry for his just electricity as a linebacker, but also Easton Mascarenas-Arnold, who is just becoming that middle linebacker that USC has been lacking for a decade now, of just the middle linebacker who's out there, who makes his tackles, who keeps things together, who keeps the defense flowing in the direction that they need to be. And, no drama with Easton Mascarenas-Arnold. No missed tackles, no nothing. He's just there.
He's like the Cam Smith, right?
Yeah,
where he's just the rock in the middle of the defense. And I also go with an A+. Eric Gentry looked absolutely incredible. He has really sort of unlocked his game and taken it to a higher level, which is exactly what you want to see from this defense. And EMA was just been, rock solid like you talked about. I thought the rotational guys who came in later had their moments too. Rajon Davis, I thought, looked pretty good as well. And that's what you want to see from the depth guys, especially when Mason Cobb missed the game. Let's go to the secondary, start with the corners. What do you got?
I give him an A. Again, down a very critical man, arguably one of the best defenders on USC's, not arguably, one of the best defenders on Smith. USC's defense, Jalen Smith. John Humphrey stepped up into that starting role and looked completely ready for it. He was out there making, again, those great open field tackles, getting off of blocks, not being caught up in the screen game and allowing Utah State to get a lot of yak yards. I thought the corners did a really good job in this game of not just covering receivers to prevent Utah State from really finding any joy in the passing game, but really contributing to stopping the run game and the extended run game that is super valuable, especially when you're going against a team like Utah State that wants to hit you underneath.
Yeah, I didn't think the corners are really tested much, which is a good thing. I think that when you look at the pass defense in this game, they held the Utah State to the fewest number of passing yards that SC has faced since 2018. And I think that's a great sign. You mentioned playing without Jalen Smith was a perk, and everybody else really stepped up there. I thought one of the guys who had a really good game was John Humphrey, too. He had his moments as well, especially in the middle quarters there. Let's go to the safeties. What do you got?
Giving him an A. Again, lots of A's, but Kamari Ramsey is a joy to watch as well. He is out there just doing everything you want a safety to do, crashing down on plays in the flat, covering deep, contributing to run defense, pass defense, everything. And he's out there hitting hard, tackling surely. I love watching him play. And Akili Arnold in this game, didn't see as much of him, but I didn't think that was necessarily a bad thing, because one of the reasons we remember him against LSU is because he had a moment where he misplayed a ball and allowed a touchdown. No misplays from him in this game, and a few nice tackles as well.
Yeah, on Trojans Live, D'Anton Lynn talked a lot about Akili Arnold's role in this defense. He's the guy with the mic in his helmet, and I think that you're really seeing the leadership there with him and his brother EMA at linebacker, as both of those guys sort of are the defensive captains, if you will, in how everything is sort of managed. I agree with the A. Kamari Ramsey looks absolutely incredible. I think you can start talking about putting him on the list of best transfers in SC history. And it's insane.
It's only 2 games.
It's only 2 games, but you already see it. He already feels like the impact player that Lofa Tatupu was, right? Especially on that defense back in 2004. He was a transfer from Maine, completely different situation, but kind of feels like the same sort of vibes. Let's go to the last grade to give out is D'Anton Lynn at defensive coordinator. Alicia, I think this is an easy one. What do you got?
I mean, if I could give him an A++++, I would, but we can only give him an A+, so that's what I have to settle for. D'Anton Lynn is incredible. It's a joy to watch his defenses play, which is not something that we've been able to say for a long time. I cannot speak highly enough of what he's done to transform, not just bringing in the transfers that they brought in and getting them situated so well, but also just guys who we saw last year making lots of mistakes, no longer making those same mistakes. Not just starters, but second string guys, third string guys. When they got down to the end, when they needed to try and protect the shutout, and it looked like they were going to give it up. The response from those guys was driven by the defensive coordinator, by the defensive staff. Yeah. They took pride in pushing them back to prevent, to make that field goal attempt difficult, and cannot give them enough credit.
Yeah, I think one button sort of sums it up.
Hot damn, that defense.
Yep.
Yeah, I go A+, and as our friend Trinice in the rant line would say,
what a difference a defensive coordinator makes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. It's pretty evident. The first shutout since 2011, and I think that comes back as a representation for what D'Anton Lynn has been able to achieve with this defense in short order. And especially when, I know we sound like a broken record, but compare what SC is doing or did in this game against a lesser opponent against every time SC had played lesser opponents before, from the Mountain West, from the Sun Belts, from wherever. SC hadn't been holding them to 0 points and 103 passing yards or whatever it was. Like, this was a total team effort. Everyone at all phases of that defense was stellar, and you saw it with the greats. Nobody got a B anywhere on defense, and I think that's a great sign for the Trojans going forward. All right, that's going to wrap up the unit grades for Utah State. We'll be back next time to talk unit grades after USC and Michigan. Until then, we'll see you.